Thanks very much, Darren. Now, our next speaker is an international expert. John Conallin does a lot of work offshore with the UNESCO. He is a Deniliquin local, and his family is irrigators from that end of the world. Now, one of the things we often hear is that Australians have the best farmers. We have the best water laws, regulations. We have a system that is the envy of the world. Yet too often we don't export that knowledge. It only seems that a handful of people get to go offshore and talk about it. And I'm incredibly pleased that John takes his own unique brand of Deniliquin to the world. And I could imagine him up there in Myanmar and Laos trying to explain how fish passages work and those sort of things. And he does a fantastic job in his local community. Only on the weekend he was dropping catfish into the lagoons in the middle of Denny to keep those endangered critters going. So John, without further ado, thanks mate.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Tom. Don't I sound flash, but really I am a boy from the bush, grew up in Deniliquin, and pretty well when this forum is over I'll be going back to turn the water on with Dad and shush some of the kangaroos off the only green bit of pasture that we have within the 100 square kilometres. It feels like that. I'm actually here giving this talk for Lee Baumgartner from Charles Sturt University. He couldn't make it today, so I'm actually giving the talk on his behalf. And his talk is the part about flows plus complementary measures equals fish. And what I've written up here is that multiple measures for fish, why do we need more than flows? I don't consider these things that we talk about as complementary measures. I consider them actually core measures, or actually, they have to happen alongside with water. So I'm going to take, this presentation is really from about 20 years ago, because we knew all this 20 years ago, and somehow it seems to be brand new science every time people start to talk about it. So if you look at this graph here, basically this is where we think fish are. Around 10%, and don't get caught up on the numbers, John. We think they're around 10% of pre-European standards. That's a bit of a joke, sorry. We want to get up to here at about 60%. That's what that was the intention of the native fish strategy. So click, click. If we use habitat enhancement only, we modelled that we would get about not quite halfway. Next question, if we used environmental flows only, click, click, we would still only get about halfway. Double click again, and again. So once we started to use multiple measures, it was modelled that we would get up to our targets. So, is this included in the basin plan? This is a question that I think you should all be asking, and some people will say yes, and some people will say no. There's talks about toolkits, there's talks about lots of things like that. If I'm saying that they're core measures and they're equal in importance, are we spending $3 billion on complementary measures, or multiple measures as I'm calling them? Next slide. So let's have a look at a few of our nice fish. I like this guy's moustache the best. That's one of the things that most impresses me. So next fish. So we've got Murray cod, we've got golden perch, go again, silver perch, eel-tailed catfish, important. And these little guys. And these are the little guys that actually are one of the most important components of the basin, which are often forgotten. And Peter gave a very good example about why they may have disappeared, which I hadn't actually thought about until he showed it today. So next button. Eel-tailed catfish in the Edward Waugh Cool system are basically locally extinct. Next. These wetland species are basically extinct in the basin. Not totally extinct, but almost locally extinct. There's a few remaining populations. So my question to you is, if I used all the water in Hume every day of the year for the next 100 years, would that improve galaxids survival? Next. Some of the causes. We have a good recognition of why we think the species have gone locally extinct, for instance, or why our fisheries have declined. And I think Peter's work's actually bringing out some really interesting aspects of that. So such things as desnagging, removal of vegetation, such as Phragmites. So go again. Barriers. We have a lot of barriers to fish movement in the basin. All the little dots are basically barriers to fish movement. Go again. We have pumps that are extracting fish. So actually, as we're pumping, especially with these big pumps, we're sucking them out and throwing them out into the rice crops. That's fine. So that's just showing the amount of pumps that we have extracting fish. Go again. We have what we call thermal pollution, so cold water pollution. We're releasing water from the bottom of the dams. Fish don't like that, doesn't get them very excited, so we don't get the breeding. This is showing from our major dams just where these cold water thermal pollution problems are. We have droughts. Go again. We have flooding in Blackwater. This is from the collagen or the Nemo during the Blackwater event. And we have alien species that have invaded. And carp, in my opinion as a scientist, is one of the biggest challenges that we have with freshwater fish recovery. They make up to 90% of the biomass, and most of them live down where you are, Ken. So, yeah, just watch yourself, right? All right, so go again. So this is just showing the spread of those fish throughout the system. Okay. So this is my little basin, or this is the little basin that Lee's made up. So we've got a dam at the top, so click. Where we're having cold water pollution, so click again. Click again. So we've got pumps extracting water and fish, click again. Click again. We've got locally extinct species, click again. We've got barriers preventing movement, click again. And we've got some significant habitat loss, such as wetland destruction, whatever else. So, go again. Where are we? Yep, and again. Thing is that we do have solutions to these, and these aren't flow orientated at all. So we have what they call cold water curtains, so we can actually put infrastructure in and release water from the top, which is warmer. Go again. Restocking programs of locally extinct species. Again. We've got screens that we can put on pumps. Go again. Re-snagging, revegetation. All of these things, quite practical, quite pragmatic. Click again. And for carp, well, we've got something for them as well. Here it is. Click again. Kiss them all to death. I have a big problem with carp. So click again. Is this anything new? No, it's not actually. We've been talking about this for 25 years. It's actually been done already. Some of these actions have been done quite well in relation to the Murray. So if you look at all of the green, these were the fishways that were put in for the Sea to Hume Fishway project. Cost about $70 million. In my opinion, one of the best investments in native fish recovery ever done. All of these red ones, that's now the northern basin that we've been talking about. And if you look at the figures here, so to restore 3,242 kilometres, I don't know where they got the 42 from, estimated cost between 70 and 95 million. Didn't we pay that just to buy some farms on the Murrumbidgee the other day? And I think we bought one farmer's lot of water back for that. That's to restore 3,000 kilometres. Now these are to be included in toolkits and different things like that, I think. So next slide. Fish for the Future. It's a program that scientists have been throwing around for a long time since the native fish strategy ended. And yeah, just click on all of these. I guess the point that I'm trying to make, and it leads on from what Peter was saying, is quality is a hugely important component of native fish recovery, but so are all of these other things. And if you're going to put $3 billion of investment into buying back water and ignoring these other things, you will not get native fish recovery. It's as simple as that. And I'll leave it with that.